When the car explodes, democracy trembles. How the attack on Sigfredo Ranucci lays bare the danger facing investigative journalism and the political responsibility to stop the descent. Last night, a powerful explosive device detonated under the car of Sigfredo Ranucci, one of Italy's best-known investigative journalists, and the face of RAI3's report. The blast, which destroyed Ranucci's vehicle, damaged a second family car, and blew out a front gate, landed like a slap in the face of every democratic promise about free speech and the rule of law. No one was injured this time. The message was clear enough. This was not an accident. This was intimidation. Ranucci has spent decades pulling the threads politicians, traffickers, and criminal networks would rather keep knotted. His program has repeatedly probed organized crime, corruption, and uncomfortable contacts between power and the underworld. That very journalism, the kind that turns whispers into public records, makes him a target. Anti-mafia investigators are now probing the attack. The inquiry must be relentless, transparent, and fearless. But prosecutions and police work are only part of the answer. There is a civic and political duty that cannot be outsourced to the investigators alone. Political leaders must stop treating journalism like a nuisance to be sidelined or a theatrical prop to be exploited. Words from the state matter. When leaders wag fingers at reporters, when TV executives shrink airtime for hard investigations, when partisan outlets fan hatred or delegitimize difficult reporting, they create a climate in which threats metastasize into bombs. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and other senior politicians condemned the attack, an essential and necessary statement. But condemnation is not a substitute for an honest look at the toxic ecosystem that produces violence. There is another dimension to the story that must be named without hysteria and without hiding behind innuendo. Report has been airing inquiries tied to organized criminal networks, including reporting that touches on alleged meetings and money flows involving transnational figures. Some recent coverage referenced alleged contacts and meetings that have sparked furious political debate about criminal networks and foreign links. Whether those specific allegations are ultimately proved or disproved is for courts and careful journalism to decide. What is not debatable is that independent investigation into the veins where power, money, and crime meet is indispensable and dangerous work. The attack on Ranucci is a brutal reminder of that reality. We must also be blunt about the stakes. Targeted violence against journalists is not an isolated crime. It is an assault on the public's right to know. When reporters are threatened, intimidated, or forced into silence, corruption breeds in the dark and abuses become permanent. Democracies that tolerate attacks on those who report facts do not remain healthy for long. The nation that shrugs off a bomb beneath a reporter's car will soon find bombs and threats under other civic institutions. So what needs to happen now? A full, independent investigation led by specialized anti-mafia prosecutors and overseen transparently, with updates to the public. There must be no safe corners for this inquiry. Concrete protections for investigative journalists, not just statements of solidarity. Enhanced security measures, legal safeguards for whistleblowers, and guaranteed access to court remedies must be enforced, not postured. Media outlets and political leaders must stop the delegitimization of journalists whose work is uncomfortable. Critique is healthy. Smearing, ostracizing, and minimizing investigative work is reckless and dangerous. International solidarity and oversight where organized crime and cross-border corruption are implicated. This is not merely an Italian story. Transnational crime demands transnational scrutiny. Finally, to the journalists who continue this work, you are not expendable. To the public, demand the truth, protect the truth seekers, and refuse to trade liberty for the comfort of silence. Sigfredo Ranucci's car burned last night, but if democracy is awake, the light cast by his reporting will not be extinguished by a blast. If we let it be, we will have lost far more than a vehicle. We will have lost the last, loud, defiant instruments of accountability.